Okay, I want you to imagine a university curriculum for a second.
Right.
But this isn't, Harvard or Yale. The syllabus doesn't have Bio 101 or economics.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Instead, you're signing up for classes like Deceit 101, Advanced Betrayal, and maybe Intro to Abandonment.
Sounds like the kind of semester where you drop out after the first week.
You would hope so, right? But the whole premise of the book we're diving into today is that if you actually survive that curriculum, you earn a PhD in DBA, Deceit, Betrayal, and Abandonment.
Wow.
And the author, he argues that this specific degree, forged in the absolute worst moments of your life, is actually a prerequisite for true resilience.
That's a heavy concept, but a powerful one. We are looking at Alchemy. It's as easy as ERD by Frank Mesa.
Yep.
And you're right, Mesa jokes about this PhD, but he's deadly serious.
Yeah.
This isn't just a misery memoir where we sort of wallow in the past.
No, not at all.
Mesa treats his trauma almost like raw data sets. He's like an analyst looking at the wreckage of his own life.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what hooked me. Usually when we cover stories about rough childhoods, it's all about the emotional scars. Mesa gets that, but he's way more interested in the mechanics of survival.
Yes.
So the mission for this deep dive is really to trace his path from, a violent apartment in Queens to this chaotic adulthood and figure out the specific framework he built to stop the bleeding.
And it is a framework. It's not just time heals all wounds. It's a deliberate strategy he calls ERD.
Evolve, revolve, or devolve.
Exactly.
We're going to break that down in detail later, but we have to contextualize it first, because where Frank Mesa starts, frankly, the fact he's alive to write a book is statistically improbable.
Completely. We're talking about a childhood that reads less like a family sitcom and more like a combat report from a war zone.
So let's go there. Let's go to the Forge, as we're calling it. Queens, New York, the 70s and 80s.
Right, and specifically inside the apartment.
Yeah.
Mesa's earliest memory, he's a toddler, maybe 2 or 3 years old. He's playing in a courtyard. His older sister calls him over. Now, usually, that's a moment of connection, right? He runs to her, trusting her completely, and she smashes him in the face with a rock.
Lights out.
Unconscious. And Mesa points to that moment not just as a physical injury, but as the installation of his entire operating system. Mistrust.
Wow.
The people who are supposed to protect you are the ones holding the rocks.
And that wasn't just a one-off thing. This is where the family dynamic gets really complex. His parents were Cuban immigrants fleeing the revolution. They weren't just strict. They were carrying this immense unprocessed trauma.
That's a crucial point. You can't understand Frank without understanding the ghosts his parents brought with them.
For sure.
His father had been a guerrilla soldier in Cuba. He comes to New York with nothing. There's this one detail that really stuck with me. He slept in the boiler room of a restaurant to save money.
Just to save money while washing dishes. That is a level of survival instinct that's hard to even comprehend today.
It is. But that survival mode, it doesn't just turn off when you get an apartment. The father later battled severe schizophrenia. There's a scene in the book, just the stress of moving apartments, where the father just breaks.
Oh, I remember this.
He swallows a bottle of sleeping pills.
Yeah.
Right in front of family.
And on the other side, you have the mother. Mesa describes her as just incredibly volatile. There's an incident where she just destroys their kitchen in a rage.
Not just yelling, physically dismantling the room. Smashing plates, breaking furniture. It got so violent the father had to act in self-defense and she ended up injured.
It was a bloodbath. And Frank is just a kid watching this.
So, okay, pause here for a second.
Yep.
If you're a kid growing up in that, what does that actually do to your brain?
It has to create what psychologists call hyperindependence.
That's it. You learn very quickly that the adults aren't regulators. They're the source of the chaos. So you just decide, I am on my own. You become your own parent.
Which explains why he's working at 8 years old.
Right. He joins a crew called the D-Boys, delivering flyers at dawn. He's navigating a hostile neighborhood, learning to make money, learning to fight, all before he even hits puberty.
He's building armor. But the problem with armor is that it gets heavy. And as he hits adolescence, that need for self-defense, it escalates.
And that leads to this story that, for me, really defines this whole era of his life.
The bus incident.
The bus incident, yeah. This is a pivotal moment because it shows his shift from, victim to aggressor.
Right.
Frank's in junior high. He's wearing a gold chain. In Queens, back then, that's a target. He gets surrounded on a bus by bullies who want it.
Most kids, sensible kids maybe,
Yeah.
are just handed over.
Frank doesn't. He fights back. But the bus driver won't open the doors to let him escape. He's trapped.
So what does he do?
His survival instinct kicks in. He pulls out an 007 knife and holds it to the bus driver's face.
He hijacks the bus.
Essentially, yeah. Just to get the doors open. It worked. He got away. But think about the lesson he learned there.
Violence works. Extreme measures get results.
Exactly. When the system fails you, you force the system's hand.
And that lesson it escalates. He realizes a knife isn't enough. So as a teenager, he starts carrying a .22 caliber revolver to school.
He's walking the halls of his high school with a loaded gun in his backpack.
This is the fork in the road. In 99% of stories like this, the next chapter is prison or a cemetery. It feels inevitable.
Absolutely. But Frank Mesa's story takes a sharp left turn because of one person.
Mr. Leibowitz, the trigonometry teacher.
This is the stand-and-deliver moment, but with, like, way higher stakes.
This is much higher.
Frank's in trig class. He leaves his bag to go to the bathroom. Terrible mistake for a street kid.
Oh, no.
He comes back. The bag is gone. He is panicking. Not because of his homework, but because he's about to be caught with a felony weapon.
And Mr. Leibowitz keeps him after class, opens his desk drawer, and there's the bag. And the gun.
Now, put yourself in that teacher's shoes. The protocol is clear. Call security. Call the police. Frank is expelled and arrested. End of story.
His life is over.
But he didn't do it.
Why? Why didn't he?
I think Leibowitz saw something. He saw a kid who was scoring high on tests, but was living in total terror. He realized the gun wasn't for offense. It was for survival.
So he makes a deal.
A highly illegal, incredibly risky deal. He tells Frank, I'm keeping the gun. You sit in the front row, you learn trigonometry. If you pass the Regents exam, you get the gun back, and I never tell a soul.
It's blackmail for the sake of education.
But it worked. Frank didn't just study. He became obsessed. And this leads to my favorite image in the entire book.
Oh, the elevator shaft. I love this visual. It's so cinematic.
His house is a war zone, right?
Yeah.
Mom's having an affair, dad is sick, neighbors are screaming. He can't focus.
No way.
So Frank takes a blanket and a flashlight, climbs into the elevator shaft of his building, and sits there for hours studying math.
In the grease and the dark.
It was the only quiet place he could find. And I think he found comfort in the numbers. Unlike his life, math was logical.
If you followed the rules, you got the right answer. It was safe.
Predictable. And the result. He scores a 99, highest grade in the school.
That's incredible.
And true to his word, Mr. Leibowitz gives the gun back. But he gives him a piece of advice that's way more dangerous than the weapon. He says, let your mind be your way out.
Let your mind be your way out. That's the first time Frank realizes he has a weapon other than violence.
Exactly. He survived the physical danger with the knife and the gun. No, he was surviving the economic danger with his brain. But, and this is the big but.
He done zero work on his emotional survival.
Zero. And that is where the wheels just come off. You can be a math genius, you can be street smart, but if your emotional blueprint is trust no one and chaos is normal,
you are going to have a very, very hard time in relationships.
That is the tragedy of the merry-go-round, the next phase of his life. Frank admits that while he escaped the hood, he didn't escape the pattern.
He became what he calls an empathetic fixer.
Yes. And this is a very specific profile for people from volatile homes. They're used to managing high-conflict people. It feels normal.
So they attract high-conflict partners.
Often people with narcissistic traits.
Let's talk about the wives, because this isn't just bad luck. It's a compulsive repetition.
It starts with Margarita, wife number 1, forced into the marriage by family pressure.
Yeah.
But the dynamic.
Yeah.
It was all about Frank being marginalized. There's a story about the birth of their first child that is just shocking.
My delivery room incident, I had to read that twice.
Frank is there supporting her.
Yeah.
The baby is born. This is a father's moment, right?
Huh?
And Margarita's mother, his mother-in-law, physically shoves him out of the way.
So she can cut the umbilical cord.
So she can cut it.
Yeah.
And he lets it happen.
That's the key.
He was so conditioned to keep the peace, to absorb the abuse, that he let himself be erased from his own life event.
And then they go on reality TV. This part seemed wild to me, The Amazing Race.
They were, and they did well. Came in second. But the real insight here isn't the race. It's the psychology behind why they lost.
Okay.
Margarita later confessed to him that she sabotaged their chance at the $1 million.
Why on earth would you do that? Who throws away $1 million?
Someone who's terrified of losing control. She was convinced that if they won, Frank would have the money to leave her.
Oh my God.
She preferred to lose the $1 million to keep him trapped.
That's weaponized failure. It's a profound level of toxicity.
It is. And eventually he does leave. But because he hasn't fixed the internal code, he jumps right into wife number 2, Lisa.
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
Or into the volcano. Lisa was glamorous, exciting, but deeply unstable.
Yeah.
And the betrayal here hits harder because it happens when Frank is at his absolute lowest.
Right. His father and sister die within a short period of time.
He's grieving, he's financially strapped, paying for funerals.
He mentions he gave her his last $300 for groceries.
And she spent it altering a fur coat.
While there was no food in the house.
Correct. It's a total lack of empathy, almost pathological. And yet, the cycle continues. Wife number 3, Asia, during the pandemic.
And this one follows that classic narcissistic personality disorder cycle, doesn't it?
Textbook. It starts with love bombing, doting affection, you're the best thing ever. Then comes devaluation, insults, critiques, and finally, in this case, physical violence.
So we have 3 marriages, 3 disasters, 3 variations on the same chaos he grew up with. At this point, most people would just say I'm cursed or all women are crazy.
Right. That's the easy way out. That's playing the victim. But remember, Frank is a data guy. He's the kid in the elevator shaft. He decides to look at his life like a math problem.
And he realizes the common denominator
is him.
And that realization is what births the entire framework of the book, ERD.
Finally, the solution. ERD stands for evolve, revolve, or devolve.
Yeah.
Frank argues that in the face of any challenge, you are actively doing one of these 3 things. There's no standing still.
Okay, let's break them down. I want to start with the one we've been talking about this whole time, revolve.
Revolve is the merry-go-round. It's motion without progress. You leave the abusive wife, you find another one, you quit the stressful job, you take another one with a toxic boss.
It feels safe because it's familiar. It's the devil you know.
Exactly. Revolving is deceptive because you feel like you're doing something. I got a divorce. I moved. But if you haven't changed your internal boundaries, you're just circling the drain.
Then there's devolve.
Devolving is giving up. It's regression. In the book, Frank points to his sister's struggle with addiction or his father's suicide attempt. It's delegating your power to a substance or to despair.
You're letting entropy win.
You are, which leaves the hardest path. Evolve.
To evolve is to develop from simple to complex. It's an uphill climb against gravity.
And Frank links this to discipline, physical fitness, financial literacy, and most importantly for him, emotional regulation.
He has this rule number 6, focus on yourself. It sounds selfish at first.
It does sound selfish, but it's actually survival. He quotes Jim Rohn. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
I like that.
For Frank, the empathetic fixer, evolving meant he had to stop trying to fix these broken women.
He had to retire from the job of fixer.
Yes. He had to realize that by trying to save them, he was participating in the chaos. Evolving meant setting a boundary. It meant denying the dark forces, as he calls them, the reaction they craved.
That's a powerful concept, emotional regulation as a weapon.
It is. Think about his mother's smashing the kitchen. Think about his wives screaming. They wanted a reaction, fear or anger. By refusing to react, by becoming stoic, he broke the economy of that trauma. He stopped trading in chaos.
But that is incredibly hard to do. To stand there while someone is screaming at you and not scream back, that takes serious training.
It does. And that brings us to the principle of the 2 pains. This is the takeaway that I think every listener needs to just write down.
Lay it on us.
The idea is that in life, you will suffer one of 2 pains. You can choose the pain of discipline, which weighs ounces, or you can choose the pain of regret, which weighs tons.
The pain of discipline weighs ounces, the pain of regret weighs tons. Wow, that hits hard.
It frames the whole ERD concept, doesn't it? Evolving is painful. Sitting in an elevator shaft studying trig is uncomfortable. That's the pain of discipline. Walking away from a marriage is painful, but the alternative.
Staying in the loop.
Revolving, and that leads to the pain of regret. And that weight will crush you eventually.
It's really about short-term discomfort versus long-term suffering.
Precisely. Frank's journey shows that darkness is automatic. Weeds grow in a garden automatically if you don't do anything. But flowers, a harvest, that requires tilling the soil.
Right.
Evolution isn't a passive process. You have to fight for it every single day.
It's amazing to look back at the arc. We started with a kid getting knocked out by a rock, terrified and helpless, and we end with a man who has analyzed his life down to a science.
He stopped being a character in a tragedy and became the author of a manual.
So for everyone listening, here is the challenge. We want you to do an ERD check-in.
Right now, look at the biggest stressor in your life. A relationship, a project, a habit.
And ask yourself honestly, are you evolving through it? Are you just revolving in a loop, hoping it changes on its own?
Or are you maybe allowing yourself to devolve?
It's a simple question, but the answer might just save you from the pain of regret.
That's it for this deep dive into alchemy. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep evolving.